Peace and love, kings and queens. Peace and love. I'm gonna do like the Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let me go into the make sure that everybody is hearing me. Okay. So, welcome back. Okay. Sometimes when you have a live show, there are technical difficulties, but we're going to keep it moving. Okay. I am going to start out with the disclaimer once again. Okay. The conversations that you hear on tonight's episode will be explicitly the views and opinions of the panelists. It does not in any way reflect Kearney Point Studios, or any of its employees. Okay. Now that I got that out of the way, because we might do some cussing. You know, you never know. You never know. This is not a family show, okay? So I just want to get the disclaimer out there. And now that I have that out there, I know that we usually do the hit in the block. But today, our hit in the block is simply Happy International Women's Day to all the queens out there. Happy Women's History Month. And now I want to introduce my beautiful panelists. But before I do that, and I'm glad that we have a do-over. See, do-overs are important because I do want to shout out my brothers who are not here with me tonight, Rashid Chambers and Kali the Great. I want to shout them out because although they're not here with me, I know that I have their support, and I know that they're here with me in spirit. Okay, they just couldn't handle all this sauce. Truth be told, they couldn't handle all of this estrogen tonight. Okay, so they stayed in their respective places, but we're here now, and we're gonna have a great show. So I'm going to introduce the guest that I have with me today, the beautiful guest that I have with me today. I have to my immediate left, I have Miss SyndeyRae Jackson. She is a civil engineer. Next to her, I have the beautiful Miss Brittany Claybrooks, Councilwoman of the 2nd District in East Orange, New Jersey. Welcome, welcome. And last but certainly not least, I have the beautiful, extraordinary entrepreneur, self-made businesswoman, Miss Chelsey Brunson. And I'm bigging her up because I'm gonna need her help with some projects. So I'm just putting that energy out there. I'm really bigging her up. Okay, so let's get into it, okay? I wanna start out with asking this question. How can the men in our lives support us? And not just in terms of somebody that's our significant other, family members, men that we work with. I feel like men, they be trying. Yeah. And listen, I'm an English teacher, but it's okay. My English is not gonna be correct tonight. They be trying, okay? But we clash oftentimes, and I'm in the business of being very communicative, right? Mm-hmm. Communicating what exactly it is that I need. Mm-hmm. So I'm putting this question out there because we got some male viewers out there. Y'all need to listen because we fitting to drop some gems, okay? So please listen up. So please, ladies, either one of you can answer. What can we do, or what energy can we put out there for them to support us? But what can we tell them? How can they support us? So whichever one of y'all want to take this, let's go.
I mean, for me, it's just recognizing that the privilege of being a man exists in society. Sometimes, and when I speak, I always speak in context of us, our people, black people, brown people, people that are not white.
People of color, yes.
People of color. And, you know, there's always that intersection between, well, we're all feeling it. We're all feeling the weight of the world because we all share the same race. Well, there's an intersection of that, and we know to be true that, you know, male privilege is a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I want men to start being more honest about that. And the moment you can be honest about that, because there are intersections of privilege, there's all kind of privilege you can have. I'm privileged because I have a certain education. I'm privileged because I've had certain experiences, regardless of how I was brought up. So, you know, once you recognize that the privilege exists, then it becomes, how do you not act in it when it comes to advocating for women, especially at work and especially in places where you know women aren't being treated fairly. How can you take some of the weight off of it always having to be us to say I need that raise, of it always having to be us to take up that space and do that labor? Why don't you speak up sometimes? Why don't you sit back sometimes? Why don't you not interrupt sometimes? Why don't you acknowledge?
Do you feel my energy
Yes,
right
like,
now? How
why
I'm
don't-
reacting?
Right. Why don't you acknowledge that, you are where you are because you're a male and your work is actually more mediocre than mine? Why don't you say, hey, why don't you take this? Why don't you lead this? Because I'm acknowledging that there's a privilege happening here. And that for me is a thing, particularly in my professional life. Now, we can go on about relational life, but I think as women, we've become better at communicating it from that respect versus how men in our everyday lives in other areas can support us. So first of all, acknowledge your privilege, guys, because it exists.
One of the things that you said that I'm going to point out is speak up.
Speak up for us.
Because men do have a more privilege.
Correct.
And people seem to think that, especially us,
Correct.
that there's only white privilege.
Correct.
There is not only white privilege, okay? Men have privilege over women despite whatever their race is, right? And sometimes your silence is damning.
Yes. Absolutely.
I hope y'all caught that. Speak up for the women,
Correct.
okay?
Correct.
I feel like you
in
got
the
something to
boys'
say.
club.
You got anything to say?
I do. And it goes back to saying, like, speak up. With male privilege, I personally feel there is a boys' club that we are not welcomed in sometimes. And just speaking up and having that respect for women and our work. And that comes down to it, like, not just in work, but in life, or like you said, I know I'm privileged because I've had a certain education. So I've learned I'm a recent college graduate, actually.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get into that because trust me. But you could go ahead and speak to it, honey.
Yes, and I did notice that, like, while I was in school and I was doing my best, I'm pulling all-nighters and stuff like that, you'd have some boys like, oh, why did you do this? And, why do you get recognition? But it's not a competition, I feel like, in some ways, because at work, I feel like I'm not just competing, but I feel like I always have to go above and beyond what I'm supposed to do or what is expected of me to do, just because I don't have that foot in the door.
Right.
I don't have that boys club access pass sometimes.
Right.
So my work does get looked past, and the credit is gone. So just giving credit where credit is due, like
Correct.
exactly what you're saying.
And it's due.
Absolutely. Yes, it's due. It's due. Do you have a comment to that?
I do.
Oh, yes.
All right. So I think that we have to start with the roles in general. So the role of a male, the role of a female. And back a long time ago, the role of a male was the provider. He was the more aggressive one. He was the dominant one, supposedly. He was the one that had more control. He made the money, he made the finance, all of that, right? He did his thing. And so we were the one in the house, cooking, cleaning. We didn't have to go to work. We didn't have to do any of that.
Taking care of the children.
Right. So it starts with that role from like that era of the baby boomers and all of that, right? And even before that. However, if we go to the original role that we were created to be, and men are supposed to work, yes, but women are supposed to be a helper to the man. And so I think that men often don't realize we help in just more ways than just domestically. I am I'm domestic because I have to be, but I rather not be because I am so like intellectually driven. We are very intellectual. All of us here, and even women out there, we're very intellectually driven. We were created to be a helpmeet. We were created to be strategists. We were created to plan. We are created to be project managers. We manage households. Men are like that CEO over the household, but that CEO can't operate with a CEO, chief executive officer, can't operate without his chief operating officer.
Right.
COO, yes.
So we are those roles. And so when those roles are crossed, because now, women are making more than men. And I've had some of my friends actually say like, oh, my girl make more than me and she don't want to pay none of the bills and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, guys, chill. That's because there's a role that's not being understood. There's no middle ground. And so men, yes, you have to understand, how do you help me? I don't need you to pay my bills. I got that.
You could pay mine. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
I don't need
You don't. We don't always need to be the damsel in distress. I
Exactly.
totally get it.
Exactly.
For us to be respected.
And I think that sometimes a lot of men need that.
Yeah.
A lot of men need a woman that's needy. An independent woman.
No.
A lot of independent women are single.
I know.
A lot of independent women are single because men are intimidated
Yes.
by that boss woman. But you don't need to be intimidated because a woman is strong, because a woman is alpha. I think that a woman can be alpha and a man can be alpha too. It's like you said, Chelsey, you have to understand your role. And your role changes
It does.
from time to time.
It does.
Sometimes you have to be submissive, and that goes for men too. Sometimes men need to take a back seat and let the woman lead. But then women have to understand we have to be the one to kind of shift gears when it's necessary. A man is not going to always know to shift that gear or always want to shift that gear. So sometimes a woman has to, know when to lead and know when to take a step back and know when to pretend like they taking a step back.
Right.
Okay?
That part.
Because sometimes we gotta, put the thought into their head and make them think they thought it, but really we know what it is, right? We know what it is. So, before we get into, that was an excellent opener. But before we continue on into the rest of our conversation, I do want to give you guys an opportunity to discuss who you are, okay, and what you do, the roles that you play in your life and your career. I'm going to start with the councilwoman. I'm going to have you start off. I think that's right? This is a public elected official we got sitting here, so I'm gonna put some respect on her name right now. Okay? Yes.
Why
Period.
am I blushing?
Because you're beautiful, girl.
I appreciate that. Well, as you said, my name is Brittany Claybrooks. I am a councilwoman for the 2nd Ward of East Orange, New Jersey, but I also am an urban planner.
Okay.
And I'm the planning director for the city of Plainfield. Shout out to Plainfield. And what I like to do is really not start with that because I'm so much more than that. And yeah, a graduate of Florida A&M University, graduate of NYU for grad school.
Yes.
I'm a Detroit native. You know, a
Okay.
lot of people don't always appreciate when
What
I talk
up, though?
about what up.
That's Detroit slang for those of you who don't know.
So a lot of people, sometimes people feel like when you're in a place, it's hard to, you shouldn't talk about your roots and where you come from. Folks in Jersey are very territorial about that, especially in the elected space. But I am a product of the city of Detroit, Michigan, and I am very proud of
Yes,
that.
as you should
And
be.
all that it comes with. And you may hear some of that come out in the conversation. But, I'm a whole lot of things. But I do sit in my official capacity today as councilwoman in East Orange.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. And I'm going to go to Miss SyndeyRae, who is a recent college graduate and a HBCU.
Yes.
So we got 2 of them sitting here.
Period.
Yes. I just want to shout out the HBCUs because I knew that Miss SyndeyRae, Ray of Sunshine, I knew that she was an HBCU graduate, but yes, sis.
Shout out to
Okay.
Atlas.
Yes. So I just want to shout out to the HBCUs. But yes, can you please introduce yourself and shout out to your HBCU that you
Definitely,
attended, and then tell
definitely.
us a little bit about the career that you chose and why.
Okay. Well, like stated, I'm SyndeyRae Jackson. My stage name is Ray of Sunshine, for those who like spoken word and poetry. I attended the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University.
Yes.
I graduated December 2022, so I'm fresh out, and I studied industrial and systems engineering. Now I'm a full-time civil engineer. I kind of got into civil engineering through my basketball coach. We would ride past buildings, and she'd be like, "Hey, like, I designed that." I'm like, "You did what?" "Oh, I want to be that black woman with my name on a building.
Yes.
I'm gonna do that." So, basically, what civil engineering is, for those of you who do not know, it's land development. So we don't design the building, But basically, we design everything outside the building, all the infrastructure from the roads, the bridges, even the placement of the stop signs and those traffic lights that y'all try to run through.
Correct.
I might have
Come
ran
to
through
East
one on the
Orange.
way here.
Yes, I work for Panoni Associates.
Yeah.
We're headquartered out of Philadelphia, and my home station is New York City. So I work in Manhattan. So I'm one of the youngest to do it out of New York
Wow.
City.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Yes, and then, yeah, I know you were just here, but you know, we got different viewers. You know, every week we have somebody else that might be tuning in. So could you please, Miss Chelsey Brunson, introduce yourself, your amazing self? Y'all gonna
Oh
hear
my
me
gosh.
compliment her all night.
Yes.
I need some favors.
Politics.
Listen, you can get the favors without compliments.
I'm
That's
still gonna
fine.
compliment all y'all because I love these beautiful women that I'm sitting next to this
She's
evening.
amazing. Yeah, you're amazing too. You really are. I
Thank
love
you
you.
so
She's
much.
so
Thank
sweet,
you.
y'all. I love her. Okay. I'm Chelsey Brunson. I'm the owner of Morph Mentoring. It's a organizational development firm. So companies come to us for strategic planning, business development, compliance paperwork, things of that nature, financial innovations like government contracts, grants, loans, things of that nature. So that's it in a nutshell as far as that firm. But I'm also the president and founder of Enosis, the Leadership Network. So that is all about thinking mission, not competition, where leaders come and give you the how to do something. So like you would come and say, this is how you be an assemblywoman, you know,
Correct.
and giving those secrets away to
Correct.
people so that they're at no extra cost. It's a nonprofit, so that's me. Yeah.
Can I
Yes.
actually just expand on that? I'm happy she brought up civil engineering because we're also what I heard today is fields that women aren't traditionally in. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you
Right,
said
from
that.
civil engineering to urban planning, which is a complement, you know, to
Yes,
civil
you work
engineering.
together.
Right,
Mhm.
and then you hear business development and infrastructure and building that stuff out. Women aren't traditionally acknowledged for those roles and have not been, and it's not these are not women-dominated
Women-dominated
spaces.
roles,
They're
yes.
not.
So shout out to y'all.
I want to shout
Shout
out
out to everybody.
No, wait, hold up. I have got to shout out to the entire panel because these are some boss women.
Oh my God.
Okay? And I like the fact that Miss SyndeyRae over here was like, I'm the youngest to do
The
it. And the
youngest to
bravado,
do
you
it.
know?
Yes.
I'm the youngest to do it. And
Yes.
she said that she wants to be the black woman with her name on the building. And you
love
will
it.
be.
Correct.
You will be.
Correct.
And I just feel like, you know, like the councilwoman said, I'm gonna keep saying that. Like Miss Brittany said, okay, these are spaces that you don't traditionally see women in. But guess what? A change is coming.
Correct.
It is.
Okay?
We here.
And I think this is a perfect segue into my next question. Okay? What is the main role of women in our society and how has that changed? And I say that because women are supposed to be teachers, nurses. Those are the traditional career paths that women have chosen, right? But now we have engineers, even with councilwoman. That wasn't always the case. It was always councilman.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about those things and how women are to be respected in those roles. Who want to go first? Everybody looking at you.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. So, women in the traditional roles of being a teacher. So I used to be a teacher. I used to be a substitute teacher, and I thought that was my place. And I was going for to be a full-time teacher and everything like that. And I thought that was my place. And so, being that I thought it was my place, it really wasn't. I was trying to be a counselor, all those things, but I felt limited. I felt like I was in a box. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do all of these things, but I just felt trapped. And so they can't trap us anymore. Like,
Correct.
these are the things that it's changing. Like you said, we're here. This is it. And it takes women like the women in that movie Hidden Figures to really step up behind the scenes for a while. It's going to take us a while to get to where we're trying to go. But there's so many women before us have done it and paved the road. So now we're no longer going to stay in those traditional roles. But it's changing and it's shifting because they need us. We're needed, like I said, goes back to our role as a helpmeet, as a planner, as a project manager. They need us to step up into the business industry, the politics. They need us to step up into engineering. Like, this is amazing. And even further than that, like construction, if you, like, I can talk about my industry. They now have grants for women who own construction companies. And I'm like, these women, yes, you can get your man to be that second person, but you make sure you have 51% of that company so that we can get the set aside funding for us to be able to expand our companies. And so we have to go strong in that new way of paving the way for all the other women to come in. So it's going to take us, all of us, to pave that way.
Absolutely,
But-
absolutely. Any of you have anything to comment to that? Anything to add?
You know, I really just think it's our role really, and this was so great. I'm just over here like, yes. But you know, I really think our role is whatever in society is whatever we want it to be. now.
Exactly.
I love
Yep.
it.
You know, because and also our role is to lead. Leadership, whether it was leadership in education, whether it was leadership in the household, whether it was leadership in politics or leadership at, you know, at the urban planning firm where we're planning cities, or, you know, in the engineering firm. I really believe that whatever our role is, it's also to lead in the same way as the man would, you know, maybe not with the same style.
Right.
You know, maybe my femininity may cause me to show up in leadership differently, but it doesn't mean that I'm any less qualified,
Absolutely.
you know, to lead. And I think that our role can be whatever it is that we want it to
That
be.
we
Because
want
there
it,
are some women out there who, my role is to be rested and to be soft. And there is some dominance and leadership even in making that decision in a society now where they're saying either you're one or the other, you can't be both. You know,
right.
whatever it is that you want to be, let's talk about exercising the freedom to be that and knowing that God has a space just for you in this society.
Yes.
And getting away from the fact that you had to fit this box. If you're too soft now in 2023, that means you ain't living your best life. Or if
Right.
you too rough, that means you don't deserve to be here and you too much and I can't protect you. If you in the middle, pick a side, you know? So I believe it's the real freedom is knowing that our role is whatever it is we want it to be, and then being grateful for the women who were in a box until we
Yes.
could get to the point where somebody can verbalize this on a podcast, you know?
Right, exactly.
So
I love the fact that you said we can be whatever it is that we want to be.
Correct.
Because it's not to diminish the woman that wants to be a stay-at-home mom.
correct.
Right.
'Cause I want
That's
to.
still important.
You know, it's nothing wrong with wanting to be in that role because children need that. You know, I wish that I could be unfortunately, I'm a single mother. So somebody got to make the bacon,
Yes.
bring home the bacon, cook
Yes.
all of that stuff, right? So
Right.
I'm doing both. But if I had the opportunity to stay at home, especially when my children was young, I definitely would have seized that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Because I think that that's important to be there, do homework with them. You know, I'm very nurturing like that. My oldest son is 20 years old and I'm still serving him his plates, okay? I spoil my kids. So I'm not trying to say that in order to, you know, be a woman in today's society, you have to assume, you know, these big corporate positions
Right.
or be an
Right,
entrepreneur.
correct.
Whatever it is you want to be,
Right.
look, you could be sweeping floors. You better sweep the thing out that floor, okay? I don't want to cuss, okay? Whatever it is you want to do, whatever role you want to do it to the best of your ability.
Yes.
And with that being said, we have to pave the way for the next generation, right? Which is one of the things that Chelsey mentioned. So how do we mentor today's youth? With technology being the way it is, with these children kind of being a little disrespectful at times, I am an educator. And I'm in the classroom and I'm in the school system where I'm getting a lot of drawback, you know, from the littlest things. It's like they think they're adults. They think that they know more than we do. And I remember being like that too. But I think that today's generation is
worse.
10 times worse than when it was when I was growing up. So I'm going to start with you with this one, SyndeyRae, and I'm doing that because you're the youngest here on the panel, and I feel like you would be more connected to, you know, the younger generation. How do you think we can reach the younger generation and, you know, kind of make sure that they aren't falling prey to the negativity in society and bring them up so they can be successful in whatever role they choose?
Yes. So I'm very big on mentoring the youth, mentoring the young, just giving them something to relate to, that's more than just on a screen, because I really do think that the screen time has affected the growth and development of this generation, this upcoming generation.
Absolutely.
But showing them more positive things, like I know personally for what I do, I like to go back to schools, especially from where I'm from. I'm from Jersey. I'm a Jersey native, so I like to come to schools here and just show young girls like, hey, I'm not that much older than you. Like, I'm less than 10 years older than you, and this is what I do. This is what you can do. Like, you can do anything that you put your mind to. Just kind of showing them that you can be a positive role model and not just, I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of the young generation right now are looking up to people who aren't positive role models. It's a lot going on, and just showing them that you can be a boss in a suit. You don't have to be a boss in a bathing suit, you know. So
That part. Yes.
That's
I totally agree with that. I feel like so much of what they see, because one of the things you mentioned was the screen time. And I mean, I tell you, these kids can't function for 1 second without their phone. The minute they come into the classroom, they're grabbing their Chromebooks, their computers, and they're going right to the computer. And everything that they're seeing is not things that needs to be seen, especially at the young age, right? If you're in, and thank you so much for coming to PS 34, President Barack Obama school, and speaking to the young girls and the children there, because they need that. They need to see somebody who looks like them, okay, who has been successful, you're a college graduate, and that's the most important thing, right? Saying it and doing it. Because it's one thing to tell the kids, okay, you need to do this, you need to be that way, but you're not an example of what you're saying. Right?
You all in my response.
I'm sorry. I'm going to let you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I want you to keep going. I'm listening.
No, because I want everybody to have an opportunity to speak, and I could be long-winded. So,
No, right though.
but yes,
I could
please.
tap in right where you're at. So the leading by example is exactly where I was going with this question, because when we don't lead by example, it throws them off even more. And so also we got to be integral. So whatever we do behind closed doors needs to be done in front of their faces. There's no such thing as a private life. That's what Dr. Miles Monroe says. Once you're in the public setting, your private life is done. And so you can't be one way behind. That's why I love Michelle Obama, because she's real behind closed doors and in front of everybody's faces. Like, there is no secrets to this woman. She said she was not trying to change her hair. She was not trying to do these things that the world
Society wanted.
so that they
White
wanted.
society.
Right.
Let's just keep it real.
So-
I mean, they was afraid of her curves and everything. Yes, the dresses she wore, so yes.
Right. But I love how she is. Like, behind closed doors and in front of everybody. That's what they need, because as soon as we show them a different person, you lose them. And now they're like, you weren't real to me. You weren't, why should I follow you? Why should you lead this way in front of everybody else? But look at the corruption that you have behind closed doors.
Right.
So it taints them. It tarnishes them. So that's where I was going with that, leading by example.
Absolutely. I think that that's really important. And shout out to Michelle Obama. I'm not that when they go low, we go high. I'm not all the way there yet.
Me neither.
But I'm trying. I really am. I mean, I get into spaces where sometimes I gotta cuss just a little bit.
Correct.
You know, I'm down to like 10 cusses per month. Per day.
Per
but
day.
Any good?
But I am trying, you know, because like you said, it's important to always represent who you are, right? And sometimes people will take you to a place, but you're giving that person the power.
Right.
Because nobody has control over you but you. And the minute you get out of character, you gave that person the power. So, yes, shout out to Michelle Obama. I'm trying.
It's also about giving yourself some grace, though, too. Right?
Oh, I need all the grace.
Like, it's about giving yourself grace, because I heard you say, you know, you not all the way being there when it comes to, you know, folks going low and you going high. That's also okay, because you have to also show young girls what it means to grow and still be evolving, right? You know, because she did do an interview where she said, you know, there were some times where there's a space where I do go low and I speak low language, and then, you know, sometimes I have to pick myself back up and rise above, and that's important. Granting yourself the grace to be, and then showing young girls that it's okay to be, as long as you are committed to growing to where you want to go. And everything you're doing is out of the inside of you, not what the pressures of the world are,
So good.
you know, pushing you towards, you know?
I want to get into some of the comments and questions. First off, your mama, Miss Lisa.
Yes.
She is really shouting you out. She said, "Yup, I did that. That's me. That's mine. Did I mention my daughter, the engineer, Legacy Soror? I mean, she's going in.
Go,
Your
Miss Lisa.
Mama is proud. Miss Lisa, you did that. Yes, you did.
It takes a strong black woman to make a strong black woman.
Yes.
So it takes one to make one, and that's what my mama did. Because I watched her, like you said, you're a single mother. My mom is a single mother. My mom was a purchasing agent for the city of Irvington for 15 years, and then the city of East Orange for 10, and still made it home every night to make me a meal. Still made it home to read me books. Still made it home to be that nurturing soul. But at the same time, I watched her every morning put on a suit, put on her lip gloss and her heels, and be a boss lady. And then when I would go to her job, I didn't realize how important she was, because she's my mom, you know? Y'all listen
She
to her.
also shouting you out, Miss Claybrooks. She's shouting you out.
Miss Lisa, my mama, too. So.
Yeah, she is shouting you out too. And listen, I did not know they knew each other when they were invited to come on to. I had no idea. They came in like, hey, I know you guys. So this is really awesome. So I want to get into one of the questions here. I think that this is a really good question. Shout out to Miss Ashley Sullivan. Do you find yourself reaching back and pulling other women forward? Is this something that each of you are committed to doing? If so, how? I think that's a very important question, because I'm going to keep it all the way 100. I'm in the business of keeping it 100. And I feel like with black women, we sometimes look back and be like, you got to figure it out on your own.
Correct.
But it's true. And listen, in our culture, we have colorism.
Yes.
And we have this stigma that we have to constantly be in competition with one another. Society forces us to be in competition. Like, for example, and the reason why I'm thinking about this, because I was listening to the Breakfast Club this morning, they were constantly pinning Cardi B and Nicki Minaj against each other. They're both women. They're both beautiful. They're both dominating the industry. Megan Thee Stallion, Little Kim and Foxy Brown. You know, anybody who's especially in the music industry and the entertainment industry, they're constantly pitting women against each other. Black women. You don't see that really done. Like, you're not saying, Adele, you know, and Taylor Swift. I was trying to think of her name.
They're not pinning her against
They're
Miley
not
Cyrus.
a Miley
No.
Cyrus. You're not seeing
No.
these women, white women, being pinned against, or even Hispanic women for that matter, being pinned against each other. But for some reason, black women are always being pinned against each other. So do you guys make an effort to sit there and say, sis, when I'm winning, you winning?
Yes.
And how is that done? What does that look like?
Yes. So I just want to speak to that just for a second, because I'm a product of that. And I think there's this idea that people believe that it ain't enough room for all of us to be in the room. So, like, for some people, this is probably too much, you know, this table right here, because eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And it does not have to work that way. I am a product. In my career, I have only had black women bosses. Now, that may be a testament to the generation that we're in, because that means we've gotten to a point where women have ascended, black women have ascended that high. But from the top to the bottom, you know, shout out to Wanda Finney, shout out to Verla Lawson, shout out to the deaconess and motherboard at Jacob Chapel Baptist Church, shout out to my First Lady Shalonda Owens, who is a lawyer, and shout out to Rashida, and shout out to Valerie Jackson. You know, those are people, before there was a Michelle Obama and TV, I didn't have to look at TV. And I didn't have bosses that were talking to me about the way my skirt fit, or how I spoke, or, you know, how I was showing up so that men didn't look at me. They didn't try to police those things. What they did was, no, you are a brilliant mind.
Yes.
And if we cultivate the brilliant mind and we keep you around enough, you'll learn what blouse to wear. You'll all of that stuff will come. They didn't try to police that out of me. What they did was pour into me. And if there was a room that I was supposed to be in, excuse me, I'm calling down to your office. This is a room of important people. I just need you to bring me a shot of coffee. And when you bring me a shot of coffee, you're going to be prepared to tell these people who you are the way I taught you to.
Yes.
Wow.
And so that is what that looks like. And so for me, if I'm fighting you as a woman, if I am arguing with you, it's likely that I'm trying to fight whatever it is in you that feels like you have to be in competition with me, because that's not what I'm a product of. I'm a product of love. Yeah. Those women loved whatever they thought may have hindered me out of me. They didn't police it. They didn't complain about it. They didn't check me on it. They loved it out of me. So I didn't feel like I needed to demure to be around them. They cultivated that, you know, out of me. And so I'm a product of that. So when I see a young girl, it don't take nothing for you to sit by me, child. I'll tell you where I got my clothes from. I'm going to write the recommendation letter for you without a thought, because that's what I'm a product of. And a lot of black women can't give what they don't know exists.
What they haven't had.
And what they haven't had. So you have to sometimes have grace with each other, because people tell me all the time, oh, you had all black women bosses, you're an anomaly. Now, for me, from sitting from the place of privilege that I do, I can't imagine my career without black folks, without black women. So that's the reason why I don't code switch, because I didn't work for women who did. You know, so
Are you looking at the comments? Because that's a comment on here.
yeah, that's why I don't code switch. Even as a councilwoman, as an NYU grad, as a woman who plans cities, you know, change the built environment around people, I don't code switch. If I want to be on Instagram at the hookah bar, that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
If I want to
Be your authentic
right, if I want to
self.
be on Fashion Nova and the order of the day is my nails and my hair, I'm going to do that. If I want to be smart, I'm going to do that. If I say ain't y'all finna, because I'm from Detroit, I'm going to do that, because these women love me enough to say you are just enough.
Yes.
And that's what I give, and I don't have a problem giving it intentionally, because I'm a product of it. You know, so I just want more women to start to put themselves in positions to, you know, try to be a product of that. You know, try to look for women that you look up to, and don't be afraid to ask them for what they have. And for those of y'all who are being asked to give, don't be afraid to give it, because it doesn't mean they're going to take your spot.
Exactly.
Yes. That part. So you brought up the code switching, and there's a question here when we were talking about before leading by example, and the question was, is it leading by example when you have to code switch? Now,
I don't know what that felt like.
so it's interesting to me, because I learned about code switching in college, taking urban education, and how it's important to teach that, because you're not going to be invited into certain arenas if you don't speak the language, if you don't act a certain way. And I think one of the things that you mentioned that's vital is that if you're poured into and if you're taught a certain way, you know that you're not supposed to wear booty shorts to an interview. Now, code switching doesn't necessarily always have to be your vocabulary.
Right.
Code switching is also knowing what to wear in certain places. And while your vocabulary, you might not code switch, but I'm sure you ain't gonna go, you know.
No. And shout out to Kaisa Denis, who taught me about that. She taught me that her and Sade were my bosses in DC, and Latrice on Capitol Hill. And I'm calling their names because these are the women who are they're responsible.
Yes, for the product that we see
correct.
before us.
So shout out to them who taught me that when you go in the room, it's okay to authentically be you in the way you dress and all that. But it's also, shout out to Timey, important that you are appropriate.
Yes.
Because sometimes in being so authentic, you can distract, but it's really not code switching. It's just showing a certain part of who you are, because there's
right.
duality. There are times where I wear short shorts.
Okay.
However, there are also times where I like a dress like this.
Yes.
And there are times where I wear a suit. That's not anything outside of me. Those are just different parts
Parts
of
of
me.
you, absolutely.
So shout out to like people who taught me to show the appropriate parts of me at the appropriate
Appropriate
time.
times.
Right.
And how important do you think that is for young girls to know that who they are is okay, and
Important.
being happy with who they are? Because I feel like today, I remember a couple of months ago, one of the students broke down crying. And by the way, your edges are on fleek.
Yes, they are.
She broke down crying because she couldn't do her edges.
Mm.
Baby girl didn't have none. But I'm not gonna, I don't mean it like that. I mean, a lot of people literally cut their hair to get those edges. So you mentioned loving who you are and knowing the appropriateness of the particular room that you're in and what to wear, whatever. But how do we first tell these girls who you are is enough? You don't have to have a 5-inch, give me 5-inch, nobody has a 5-inch weave, a 50-inch weave or whatever the case may be in order to be beautiful. What do you guys say to the young girl who is like, I'm not enough?
You want me? No, she was about to go. I want you to do it.
Yeah.
I would just say beauty starts from within, because you can be as beautiful as you want to on the outside, but if inside you don't feel that, it's gonna show, and it's gonna come out of you regardless. So knowing that you're beautiful within, knowing that your mind speaks for you, education-wise, like knowing how to enter a room and the confidence, being confident within yourself. That is the number one thing, but teaching them the confidence, that's gonna come from us, just letting them know that social media, again, is really tarnishing everyone.
It's not real.
Yeah, no, it's not real. So if you don't have those edges, you can't swoop, but you know what you can do? You can do a nice little slick back and call it a day, and that slick back is beautiful, and now you just made your own. You know, being who you are is already beautiful enough, because you trying to be someone else, you're never gonna accomplish that, because the only person you're meant to be is you.
You had a point to make. I wanted to make sure I got to you before I started running my mouth.
I just gotta say, I love this young lady. Like she's so young,
Yes.
but her spirit is so right. It's like I just feel like at peace when she speaks, and it's like wisdom is coming from her mouth. So I
Yes.
absolutely love that. But I was gonna say to tell them to change their language. This is something I deal with. You cannot say I'm fat. You have to say I am the bomb. I'm thick. These men love all of this. I love all of this. They don't want me to change because they don't. You have to accept that for yourself first. But no, like people are not seeing you the same way you see you.
yourself.
Sometimes we're our worst critic. We self-sabotage. I have to work on this daily, still, in whatever position I'm in. I sing at church. I do all this different stuff at work. I'm a single mom too. I do all this stuff. People always say, Chelsey, you're so great. You're so great. And I'm like, bro, what are y'all talking about? I'm over here struggling. Like, I don't want to wear that because I feel like this. Oh, look at my hair. Oh, look at that. And so I have to change my language. I literally have to change my language. Young ladies, please change your language. If you have to look in the mirror at yourself, this is what you had to do, and speak it out of your mouth. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am intelligent. I am not a victim. I am not a victim. Like, you have to say this out loud to yourself. I had to say this today. Nobody else is going to victimize me. That's done. Every time somebody tries to, negotiate a contract or something like that, bro, these are the terms, and that's it.
Boss.
That's it.
That's
I'm
it.
done. Like, I do not need to stay. I'm going to let you get back to what you're doing. I'm going to go because I don't need you to contract with me if you're going to sit here and minimize me. If you're going to bring me down, we're not doing that. So you have to make sure that you have that confidence and your confidence is shining.
Yes.
Your name, that, what is it? Ray of
Ray of
sunshine.
sunshine.
It's perfect for you.
That's
Like,
amazing. Yes. I love it.
Yes.
I think that I'm getting a lot of encouragement here, sitting here talking to you, especially about this topic, because I think one of the things that we are bombarded by what society deems as beautiful. We are bombarded about what society deems as acceptable as being a woman in this world, right? And I got dark circles under my eyes. And when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to spend the 25 minutes it takes me to do my makeup. I really don't. But when I think about going outside and people seeing this face, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to wake up a little earlier because I want to do my makeup. But I have to start saying to myself, man, you gonna catch these dark circles, okay? Because I can get an extra 20 minutes of sleep. You gonna catch these dark circles. I have to start speaking it into myself, because how am I gonna tell a young lady coming up that she's okay and she's beautiful who she is in the skin that she's in if I don't feel accepted in the skin that I'm in?
Right.
One of the reasons why I started wrapping my hair a long time ago, because especially in the school system, because I felt like people was putting so much emphasis on the hair. And I wanted, as a substitute teacher, it was always a conversation. So it was a way to build a rapport with the students. And people always ask me, why do you wrap your hair? Because I may be Erica to my friends, mommy to my sons, or Ecclesi when I'm performing, but I am Miss B when I'm in that building. And when I'm Miss B, I want you to respect me. And I started wrapping my hair because I wanted them to know, like NDRE said, I am not my hair. Okay, so that was a way for me to let the girls know, like, I'm not spending hours I might spend hours doing my makeup, but I'm not spending hours doing my hair. So for me, that was my way of telling girls, you don't have to have this long weave. You don't have to wear these expensive clothes and shoes. I'm a thrift shopper, okay? Yes. And not only am I a thrift shopper, I accept outfits, okay? Because this one right here was gifted to me, okay? So if somebody like, I got something that don't fit no more, pass it all down to me, because I'm going to wear it, and I'm going to wear it proudly, okay? So I'm not wearing red bottoms. I'm not carrying a Louis Vuitton bag. Y'all see my bag over there? That's a thrift store bag, okay? That bag was like 50 cents, okay? Because a part of what society deems as beautiful is material things.
Right.
And the younger girls coming up think that in order for them to be beautiful, they have to have these material things. And I just want to thank you ladies for pouring into me. So that, guess what, tomorrow y'all gonna catch these dark circles, okay? Because I'm not wearing makeup tomorrow. I might, but I'm gonna try not to. Maybe Friday. Friday I won't wear makeup, but tomorrow I'm gonna beat this face. Okay, let me see. We got a few more minutes left. Okay, so I want to give you guys the opportunity to talk about something that is passionate to you. I know y'all probably like, she didn't say that. No. Gotcha. I want to give you guys the opportunity to talk about something that's passionate to you, because as women, I feel like our voices get muddled, get muffled, and this is an open space for you to share. Maybe there's an organization that you volunteer with. Maybe there's an organization that you donate to, or some type of venture that you're doing that's passionate to you, so that we can discuss it and the viewers can know what we are into. You want to start? I feel like you jumping out there.
Well, yes. This kind of hits everything, I feel like, with the subconscious that you said, Chelsey. I'm very big into knowing yourself, into healing yourself. I'm very big into subconscious, like what you're saying. When you speak negativity into the air, then you receive negativity. So I'm very big on speaking positivity into the air. Just knowing within. I'm very big on reading and trying to get to know yourselves, because I truly feel that we're losing ourselves in these phones, in these digital devices, that we're not taking a step back to sit here and truly deal with what we have going on. Taking a moment to sit in solitude and really getting to know yourself. We sit on FaceTime, but we're scared to sit in the mirror and face ourselves.
Wow.
Wow, that was deep. I'm sorry. I don't know if they caught that. So I'm gonna need for you to say that one more time. And you got, is that in the line of one of your poems? Because if it's not, put it in there.
Yes, ma'am.
One more
I'll
time.
put it in tomorrow.
Okay. Could you say that one more time?
I said, we sit on FaceTime, but we're afraid to sit in the mirror and face ourselves.
That's prophetic word right there.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to touch on that you're passionate about, or
Oh my God, it's so much. So I'm passionate about two things. The first thing is just being everything that God has called you to be. I really want people to start doing that and do it scared, as my friend Tommy was talking about yesterday. Shout out to Tommy, she's everything. But doing things scared, I am a big proponent of women getting all that is due to them, not settling, not, it's hard not to because there's a lot of pressure, but I am very big on that. Like, women getting what is due to you before you take your last breath, go and do it.
Yes.
You will lose relationships. You will, a man will walk away, or a woman, or the human in your life will walk away.
Bye.
You may take some time off because you've had children. It may take you a little longer to get through school. It may take you a little longer to get that promotion. You may be scared to move. Do it, because by the age of 32, I can say that God has blessed me with so much, but it was really being able to make decisions when they're hard, but doing it because that is what I know He told me to do.
Yes.
So I am very passionate about that. And then, professionally, I'm passionate about changing the spaces and the built environments around people so that you can change their lives. Where I come from, it was 98% Black. It's a million people. And all of us are Black, and I always wondered why my space was different from other folks' spaces. What is it about my space that's inferior? What can I do so that people aren't going to jail as much? What opportunities need to be here so that we can experience our space different? Because I believe that it matters where you grow up and where your kids grow up and what you have access to. And so you're talking about built environment, which I love, because women didn't literally what we do for a living, women didn't used to have a say in that.
That's
Our
right.
zoning laws and everything is predicated on what some white man sat there and said we should be doing. I mean, Euclidean zoning and carrying on, So I am very big in environmental justice and justice in the built space, and having women's voices be elevated in that, Black women's voices,
Yes.
Black people's voices, right? So when you move to Jersey City, or when you move to East Orange or Newark, or, Detroit or Inkster or Highland Park, these are all Michigan cities, or Patterson, we did that. Whether you white, Black, brown, or green, moving into that new apartment, that this space was Black when you got here. And our voices are lifted in that. So I care about that, and I could talk about it all day, but I'm gonna stop there.
Very beautifully said. And Miss Chelsey,
Wow. I'm so sorry.
it's okay. We live, so that's what happened.
She important though.
I'm sorry. We all important.
You're
So, unification. In a nutshell, Enosis, the leadership network, is all about unification. Enosis means unification. So let's not talk about Enosis. Let's talk about unification as women. Period. Like, that is so important, because women are, like you said, very catty. Women can be very have so much competition. There's no need for us to compete. My tagline for our nonprofit is think mission, not competition. Imagine what we're doing right now is impacting so many.
Yes.
Because we came together and we did not care who was on this panel. We're like, we come in and we're going to be all smiles and all love. And so that has to be across the board. Unification with women. This is how we're going to change things. And honestly, the African American woman role, and I don't normally talk like this because I try to be very neutral, very Switzerland, try to be very neutral, because my mom is white. So, and my dad is Black. So these things are top. I never fit in. Like, when I said that, I don't fit in with African Americans all the time, because they're like, you got a white mom. So you wasn't raised like us. You don't know how to cook like us. You don't know how to clean like us. You don't know how to do this like us. And, the white people don't like me either, because they like, she Black. Her father Black, she Black. So at the end of the day, I'm stuck in the middle. And being stuck in the middle, I'm learning, like, I don't need to be accepted by any of you. However, I'm not going to be able to do this alone. So somebody needs to come together. And I'm learning that, you gotta take off all those different colors, all those different faces, all that different stuff, because you never know who is your prized possession
Yes.
as they're coming into your life. I call them stakeholders. My staff is so diverse. It's not even funny. One of my key, he's a male, so we're trying to talk about women, but he's a male. He's from Africa. He's from Ghana. He's from Africa. Then I have a salesperson who is white. Then I have an assistant who is white. Then I have another mixed young lady. Then I have another African American young man. And so it's so diverse. And at this point, I'm like, it's not about, I want to stay on the topic of women, but overall, if we don't come together as people, especially as
That's key.
minority people, and we get mad at other cultures that are taking over cities, and I'm gonna leave it like that, we get mad, but we don't want to come together.
Right.
Why? Why can't we be with Spanish people? Why do we have to keep fighting like this? We need to come together. We need to unify. The enemy he designed tactics to keep us diverse. He wants us separated. He doesn't want us together, but we're better together.
That's right.
So that's really what I'm passionate about.
We are running low on time, but I did want to, I feel a connection. I felt the connection with you the first time I met you. And when you started to talk about your mom and your dad, I understand that. My mother is Jamaican, my father is Puerto Rican. So the Jamaican side is like you too light skinned, right? The Puerto Rican side is like you Jamaican. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I don't, know where to fit in sometimes in some spaces, right? So I definitely understand that. But like you said, it doesn't matter where you from. When you cut your hand, we all bleed.
Right.
We all bleed. And we have to stop being divisive and start being unified, because that's the only way we are going to be successful. There's this old African proverb that says, if you want to go quick, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
I love that.
And I always subscribe to that proverb because I think that unity is important. And before we go, because we've already ran out of time. I'm surprised Scott is not like yelling at me right now. But before we go, I did wanted to say this. We all talked about things that we're passionate about. One of the things that I'm passionate about is that women being true to who they are, and we discussing women issues more. Some of the things that I really wanted to tackle tonight, but we're gonna have to save it for another show, is some of the things that women go through that men would never understand.
Yeah.
The issues that we go through with our bodies,
Yes.
All kinds of things. That's the thing I'm passionate about. Women just being more vocal, because you never know who may be going through the same thing. So I think that women need to communicate more. We need to support each other more so that we can be a voice for each other, so that we can encourage each other, and so that we can also be a shoulder for each other, because sometimes we need to cry and vent. With that being said, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to plug. So if you have any events that's coming up, or if you want to plug your social media, we're going to close out the show. If you have anything last that you want to, and didn't an hour go by fast?
Yeah. Yes,
It went by too fast, because I only checked like 3 boxes here, okay? So I think the conversation went well, and I want to thank you ladies so much for coming on, and I want to give you 30 to 90 seconds, okay, to just either plug your events that you got coming on, plug your social media, or just your last words. I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at SyndeyRae. That's Sydney, SYDNEYRAE, _. I don't have any events coming up, but
But you're going to be coming back to my school to talk to the kids. That's an event. There we go.
Definitely. Oh, I'll be there on March 30th.
See? So, plug that.
Okay, I'll be at PS 34 Barack Obama Elementary School, and I'll be there on March 30th, just kind of ending Women's History Month one more time. So
Yes.
Y'all can find me on Instagram. My page is public. It's Brittany Claybrooks _. Very simple. My
That's how
first
I
and
found
last
you.
name. Thank you. Brittany Claybrooks _. And then I do have a brunch on March the 19th. Folks are invited. Now, we do have limited space, and the waiting list is still on Eventbrite, but it's called the I'm Possible Brunch. We will be collecting feminine products to go to some local nonprofits, Isaiah House, Joy's Angels, who do very, very, very good work. And I wanted to have a free brunch. Trey Daniels, who is a national star saxophonist, will be there.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to provide something that was free for folks because we constantly buying tickets to stuff and we're charging people to do stuff. I want people to have a good time, be celebrated during Women's History Month, and then also give
Right.
to someone else. So we created a free space at South Beach in East Orange
Oh.
for people to do that. I know folks like to hang out there with their hookah and all that, but this is an opportunity to do something very nice for a good cause at South Beach. So
Awesome.
it's in my ward too. So that's it.
Awesome. And is there a flyer for that event on your?
It is a flyer. It's not on my Instagram. It's on Eventbrite, but you know what? I will post it tonight. Because the waiting list is still open now. We've sold out like reservations, but the
Okay.
waiting list is still open. So if you want to join the waiting list, you can. It's gonna be lit.
Awesome, awesome. And Miss Chelsey.
I just want to say thank you for having me. I know last time I was on the show, so it's like, it's just more for mentoring. But thank you. Thank you. I really needed this. Everything that you guys share was inspirational to me on many levels. So thank you. I appreciate it. I can't wait to watch the rerun.
Yes. I did put the link in the chat so you guys
Okay.
know. So thank you to this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful panel that I have here. All of you, when I asked you to come, it was no questions. It was like, yeah, I'm coming. I know Kali invited you,
Yes.
and
Yes.
everything was perfect. Everybody who came, you guys brought something to the show, and I appreciate you coming. And we definitely have to do something in the future. We got to link up because we are women, and we have to be unified, okay? With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for our viewers who posted comments and questions. Please share. If you have any topics that you want us to share on future shows, please email us at conversationswithbless@gmail.com. Once again, that email is conversationwithbless@gmail.com. And I'm going to see you in 2 weeks. Peace and love, and we out.